Russian fires hundreds of missiles from Crimea to Ukraine border. Vladimir Putin is preparing to move nuclear weapons to Crimea, Ukraine's defense minister has claimed, in a development which would have grave implications for Europe. And Andriy Tyran claimed Russia could attack his country in order to ensure ongoing water supplies for the peninsula, annexed by Moscow 7 years ago. Mr. Tyran, speaking prior to an emergency NATO meeting with allied defense and foreign ministers yesterday, also said he was unable to rule out a possibility of Russian forces in Crimea undertaking substantive military provocations this year. Mr. Tyran was able to offer no evidence to back up his allegations, but, citing the latest Ukrainian intelligence, said Russia was massing 110,000 troops on Ukraine's border in 56 battalion-sized tactical groups. He described Russia's movements as potentially offensive military exercises which could be used to conduct unpredictable, escalating actions from Crimea. Russia has countered by insisting NATO, not Moscow, is undertaking out-threatening military action in Europe. Nevertheless, any Russian decision to move nuclear weapons to Crimea would significantly worsen already strained tensions between Moscow and the West. It would also put pressure on a newly extended arms control treaty between the United States and Russia, imposing limits on land and submarine missiles which are used to carry nuclear warheads. Fighting has increased in recent weeks in eastern Ukraine, where government forces have battled Russian-backed separatists in a 7-year conflict that Kiev says has killed 14,000 people. NATO says the number of Russian troops massed on Ukraine's borders is at its highest level since 2014. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who was in Brussels to discuss strategy with allies, referred to a massive military buildup of Russian troops. He further insisted NATO would address Russia's aggressive actions in and around Ukraine, without going into details.
Dynamic Front is a combined combat arms training exercise led by the U.S. Army, consisting of multiple nations within NATO.
The HIMARS themselves have landed in an airfield secured by special warfare teams that have been in location for the previous 12 hours securing the LZ. The HIMARS, now having completed deplaning for the C-130, are now moving into location. As previously stated, this is a first, a combined activity between the US Army and the US Marine Corps.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watched were so glad.
Commandant of the United States Army Field Artillery School and the Chief of the Field Artillery. On behalf of the whole team at Fort Sill and the Fire Center of Excellence, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for raising your right hand to serve our great nation. In these challenging times in history, America and her armed forces continue to play a critical role in safeguarding Americans' freedom and defending our national interests around the world. You are all now members of the Army team, and I, for one, am glad to have you on board. You are the future warrior leaders of our Army, and I'm excited to see many of you interested in the king of battle, the Field Artillery. For those of you getting ready to select a branch in the near future, I encourage you to consider branching Field Artillery. Our branch culture hinges on the fundamental concept of teamwork, and the experiences gained as you train to become a Red Leg will enable your lifelong success.